Welcome to Sunday Connections, everybody. So for the newer guys, Sunday Connections is our opportunity to get to hear somebody else's spiritual journey through life. And in this case, we get to hear from a former student and a graduate. I saw Christopher around a few times around the campus and never really got to know him too much, but I had the opportunity, to get to move him into his new home about a month ago. And that's when I got to talk to him and invite him to speak. So tonight I'm going to turn the time over to Christopher, and welcome.
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. And 5 minutes late, not good. Let's start with that. I'll check in with my house manager after the program here. I just want to start with just saying thank you to everyone here for giving me this opportunity to come back and kind of express my feelings towards the barn and towards life, and really just kind of trying to be an example for everybody and show you that it's possible to make a very big change in a very short period of time. I think I will just start with kind of chronologically going through what my life was like before Red Barn, what my experiences were like at Red Barn, after Red Barn, just kind of go through my story over the last couple of years. So I know it's not good to talk about our past, right? That's kind of like rule number one. So I won't get too detailed, but I want to give you kind of a rough idea of what my life looked like before I came. Before I came to the Red Barn, I was quite literally living in a field. I was homeless. I lived behind like a department store, and my day-to-day life was very lonely. It was it was really just quite hopeless. I just kind of wandered around town, kind of muttering to myself, I'd really gone downhill. The drugs I chose to use were slowly causing me to go crazy. I was hearing voices. I was kind of that guy you'd see at the corner, kind of talking to himself, picking up reverbs, motion change off folks. That was kind of my MO. And I got really comfortable in that life. And I thought, there's really nowhere else to go. This is where I'm at. This is who I am. I felt very alone, and I felt very kind of like I was being ridiculed and criticized by the community. Everywhere I went, I was kind of on Front Street. I was right in main, Main Street, wide open. Everybody's kind of staring at you, and I felt very. It felt very. This made it very sad and made me feel less and less of a person. I started to get worse and worse, and just kind of think this is where I'm going to be. And I don't know what other force to credit the motivation to change to other than my Heavenly Father. And I won't get too deep into my spiritual beliefs, because I think it almost has a negative effect when you try to push that on people. But I can't think of any other way that I could have pulled out of that without a higher power. There's really, I was at the very bottom of my rock bottom was pretty low, and let's see, how do I describe my last couple of days? It was COVID, so a lonely situation got even more lonely. There was no one out. I couldn't find a bathroom to use. Couldn't go into the store. It was just a bad situation got worse. And I thought, well, I'm just gonna walk into a gas station and steal something and wait for the police to come, and I'll just go to jail. That would be a better option than what I'm doing now. So I walk into a gas station and I take something. I sit on the curb out front and I finish it, and nobody shows up. I'm thinking, this is weird, and my delusional the mentality I was in was really messed up. I was going crazy from my drug usage, and I thought, well, this is the world coming to an end. What's going on here? So I go to another store, repeat. No one shows up, and I'm thinking, this is weird. So I just keep going store to store to store, and eventually someone shows up. It took a few stores, but I went to jail. And I'm sitting in jail, and I'm thinking, I really got to change. I can't continue this. I'm getting worse and worse. I could barely stand being in my own company at that point. I was really not happy. Um, Old behaviors weren't fun anymore. I wasn't having a good time anymore. Wasn't enjoying where I've gotten and where I was going. It was just getting worse and worse. It was like decided to make a change, right? So I reached out to my family, and of course I want them to do everything for me. Can you call the Red Bar? Can you see if you can get me in? I don't take any steps of my own. I'm still kind of expecting other people to kind of do the work for me. But my mom is happy she was to hear that I'm trying to make a change. Reaches out, makes a phone call, and I think she could kind of hear the sincerity in my voice, the desperation, like this time's the time. We've heard this story before where he's going to change his life and get it together, but she could kind of tell something was different in my voice. I'd really hit that point where I'd had enough. Like I didn't want to do it anymore. Wasn't having any fun. I was miserable. I wanted to do anything different. So that anything at all would be better option. So she calls the Red Bar, and I said, well, if he detoxes and writes us a letter that sounds sincere, and we'll see if we can get him a bed and get him in there. So I wrote a letter, and was able to set up a phone call and talk to the program director, and they gave me a chance. And when I first showed up here, I was still kind of in psychosis a little bit. Drugs are bad. They cause a lot of damage, and I was still kind of like some of the people I see here kind of attest to this, that I was still kind of talking to myself and just kind of muttering and singing strange songs and just kind of getting off course. Like in the middle of the task, I just kind of wander off. I was doing some odd things. And it took a lot of patience from my brothers and a lot of really just a lot of love from people that knew where I was coming from. To say, okay, I know what he's going through. We'll talk about it in group. I don't need to make a big deal out of it now. We can just get through the day. I was really kind of difficult in the beginning. My first, let's say 60 days at least, probably longer, were really, I was still kind of half here, half not, where they kind of like, well, maybe this isn't necessarily the program for him, but I kept showing up and I had a good attitude and I did my best, and after a few games and a few good talks with people that I trusted, I started to make a little progress. There were certainly days where I wanted to give up, where I felt like everybody was out to get me, or I felt like I just felt almost apart from. I didn't quite feel like the group in the beginning. I kind of felt, well, that's them and this is me still. I didn't open up enough that I could really develop and cultivate friendships and really find that brotherhood. In the beginning, you're still so stuck on some of the old mentalities that your way of thinking, the right way of thinking, is still not quite. You're not quite seeing eye to eye with a lot of people. So it takes time to kind of shed those ideas and those. It's almost prideful to hang on to some of that stuff. Really, it takes a while to kind of shed that old skin and reinvent yourself. I hate to start in such a dark way and kind of tell you my story and start off with such negative things, but I want you to kind of understand what my storyline looked like. Where I came from and how far I've come. So intern phase. For me, it was, I was grateful to be in clean clothes and have 3 meals, and a safe, warm place to sleep. The streets are tough. People are not nice. I got picked on a lot when I was out there. I got chased around a lot. I got my stuff taken a lot. I went through a lot of bad experiences. So it felt good to come to somewhere where I knew everybody had my best interest in heart. Nobody judged me for where I came from. Everybody truly was on an upward trajectory. Everybody wanted to see me succeed. There was no one here out to get me. And sometimes I would kind of feel that way. I'd get a rough game where like everybody kind of joined in and had something to say. I was like, F these guys, it was my mentality in my mind. Or I'd be pissed doing my chore, my hours, sweeping the parking lot or whatever. And over time, those things go away, those kinds of feelings. You realize it's you put yourself in the crosshairs. You hadn't have brought all that attention on yourself. If you hadn't put off that kind of energy about it and been so mad about it, you wouldn't be, you wouldn't be doing all those hours. Eventually you start to see that you bring that on yourself. Everybody's going to get a couple hours, but when you get a whole bunch like that, you kind of have to really take a look at yourself. Like, wait, maybe why am I getting all these hours and no one else is? Maybe it's something I'm doing. Maybe I'm not as I'm not as doing as good as I thought. Or you got to really take a look at yourself, I guess. So there was a point in my intern phase. It was right before I went from my gray shirt to move up, and I was kind of feeling like I wanted to give up a little bit. I was like, man, looking at it like 2 years, and they were really kind of laying it on me. It's like I was working my butt off, but it still wasn't good enough. It was like doing everything I could, but I still didn't get my homework done. I'm like, there's not enough time in a day, and I'm still in trouble. I'm doing everything I can. What more do they want from me? It was kind of at that point where I was like, wow, dude, is this worth it? 2 years, And no one saw it. Maybe the camera saw it, but I kind of broke down and cried in the kitchen one day doing dishes, doing my hours. I'd already hours all day. That's all. At the beginning, that's what it's like. It's meant to kind of break you down a little bit, and I'm doing dishes and I'm crying, and I'm thinking to myself, how bad do I want to change? How bad do I want this? And what kind of sacrifices am I willing to make and not have to go back to the streets, not have to go back to begging for change, and I just realized that I was going to do whatever it took. If I had to work 15 hours a day every day for 2 years, as long as I didn't have to go back to that, it'd be worth it. If I got the break speed off me in games every game, it would still be better than what I was doing. I had to realize that it's not going to be forever. And regardless of how much I'm enjoying that moment, I'm going to get past it, and there's going to be better moments to come. So long as I endure, so long as I press on, so long as I do my best, so long as I'm have a good attitude about it to the best of my ability. There's going to be times where you want to give up, but I'm trying to tell you not to. That all your dreams could come true if you just keep pressing forward and stay clean and do what they tell you to. I graduated a year and a half ago, and I've accomplished quite a bit in a year and a half. And there's no other way I could have done that without all those tough games. And my older brothers tell me how it really was and not how I thought it was, So just keep pressing on if you're having a day like that. So I wanted to say about the intern phase. There's going to be rough days, but don't give up because of one bad day. I'm still working 6 days a week, and not all those days are good days. But I can't just up and quit one day or yell at my boss. You got to tuck your tail and finish the day, and can't go home and complain about it to your wife either. You don't want to bring that shit home, so you gotta learn how to just swallow that pill. That or endure that tough situation, even if you're not enjoying it, and let's do it with grace and poise. There's gonna be bad days. So intern phase is tough, but you can do it. The next stage of my program I could think of would be like where I got a little bit more freedom, right? Get a little more freedom. You got a little more responsibility. You're held to a higher degree of what the expectations are for how you're going to conduct yourself. And are you going to be an active member of this group and pull some people up and play the game, right? There's different stages, and all the stages have very valuable lessons. I think thinking back to one regret I have, maybe it would be, I think I would have I would have tried to get into leadership a little sooner. I was really not into leadership. I was like, I'll pull people up, but I'm not gonna be in charge of a bunch of people. Was my thinking, and I think I could have gained a lot more valuable lessons there. Honestly, I think I should have been more open to leadership. But the red shirt phase, I've kind of I feel like I grew quite a bit. A lot of those strange ideas I had in my head that were kind of drug induced to kind of slowly dissipated and gone away. I wasn't thinking so many wild things. I started getting healthier, started thinking more clearly, started feeling kind of happier. Kind of got I got to a place where I feel like I can do this for 2 years. This is not bad. I'm enjoying myself, getting strong, getting healthy. I enjoy my friends. I can see myself going somewhere. I started feeling a little bit more self esteem and like I could really turn this thing around. And then as I went through my program, they just started piling on the responsibility. Right? You don't want to be in leadership, then we'll just make you. We'll just put you in charge in the morning crew over at Sticky Bird. Then you can be a leader in that way. You don't if you don't go and ask for it, they're going to give it to you anyway because it's obviously what you need if you're trying to avoid it, right? And that was a really good experience for me. I was really had a hard time focusing on anything more than I could do one task, but it was difficult for me to do two. So Sticky Bird was really good to learn how to multitask and kind of keep track of a lot of different things and do that with try to do that with grace because I've got customers. I have people there that I can't, if I can't throw a fit in front of them, I can't start cussing in the back kitchen because I'm frustrated. I have to really, really focus on what I'm doing. And Sticky Bird is kind of where I started kind of formulating a plan. What do I want to do with the rest of my life? I'm starting to feel like I can hold down a job and do what I need to do to grow up and pay my bills, and hold it down. So I really enjoyed doing the order in the morning. I would take a checklist and figure out all the food we needed for the week. Then the food would come and I'd check it off and see what all we had and make sure we had enough. And I liked that kind of work for me. That felt it was a little out of my comfort zone, just enough to kind of make the day go quick, like it was a challenge, but something I think I'd be apt to do. And then they start this SEM class, and I think, well, that kind of falls in line with what I'm doing here. It's a little bit, more graduated form of it, but it's all kind of supply chain, right? And I just kind of noticing everything kind of falling into place. Like, okay, I can make this work, get a little bit of education and try to apply that to the job I'm doing now. And really just kind of reach out to people around me that are in that field, customers or other mentors that come through and just start asking a lot of questions, So I had a driver that would come in quite frequently that I could tell had been with Cisco for quite a long time. Let's start asking him questions. What do you make a year? How many stops do you have? What kind of requirements do they have to get a job like that? How do you like the place you work? I just started kind of feeling things out a little bit and started kind of following I'm assuming you guys still do the plan, right? The little booklet. I just started kind of putting it together. What do I want to do with the next couple of years? Where do I see myself going? So to go from that hopeless place to a place where I started to feel a little self-esteem and kind of picture my future a little bit of a dream board, Nothing wasn't actualized yet, but I was kind of putting things in order. Like, this is the end goal, and these are the goals I want to make to get to that goal. And I don't want to work on something clear over here if this is the direction I'm going in, So it's important to kind of figure out where you want to go. Not you don't have to like um future trips so much, but you want to kind of like think about where am I headed? Where do I picture myself? Because I feel like a lot of what you visualize will come to pass. You know, if you're serious about it, if you believe in yourself and you don't veer off course too far, that's pretty much where you'll end up. You know, so it's good to have a self esteem and really know that you can be that person and go those places. So I started asking questions basically about the restaurant industry. Started talking to Chef Neil about where he works and things like that. And I think it's important to really do your best in all situations because you really don't know who you're going to speak with and who they know and things like that. Like just some examples of that, like where I was really doing my best in a position I didn't see myself in for the rest of my life. But the guy on the other side of the counter just happened to be somebody I'd run into later in life, you know, and somebody very important in my life. So um, even when you're frustrated, it's good to try to show poise and really handle those situations with pride and do your best to get through it because it may have an impact on somebody who's going to be important in your life later. Like where I'm working at now, the vice president, I didn't know he was the vice president at the time, but I got a second job at a place called Pollo Loco, similar to Sticky Bird, you know, like a fast food setting. And I work in the front register just like I did at Sticky Bird. And I struggle with the register. I did a Sticky Bird. I do still now. It's hard for me to keep track of all the order. I really I struggle a little bit, but I do my best, and I do it with a smile, and I do it in such a way that that they can kind of laugh with me. You know, I don't make it awkward. I make it like, oh yeah, that's about as much as I can remember. Can you repeat that back again, or you know? So I work in the front register, and I help this guy out every twice a week. I serve this man, and I get to my new job, and there he is, the main guy in the main office. I already have a connection with this man. We've already had many interactions, some of which I totally screwed his order up and had to fix it, you know, bring it out to his table. And sometimes it went very smoothly, but we developed a rapport. And had I had a meltdown or thrown a fit or made it his problem or his fault, you know, and not handled that well, it could have affected me later, you know. You just never know. It's a very small world, so you can present yourself the best you can at all times, regardless of what your past looks like. It will be a win for everybody involved. You know, if they see everybody's rooting for the underdog, so if they can see somebody who's gone through a lot and is able to pull out of that and conduct themselves in a red barn fashion, they love it. They want to be a part of it. They want to be your friend. They want to help you. You know, it's really this place will change your life for real if you let it. If you decide to finish it from start to finish and do everything you can to change who you were, you'll be a success. There's no doubt about it. It's really up to y'all. You know, so other examples of putting your best foot forward because it will affect, you know, because you might run into these people later in life. Like um it's just it's a good place to make very positive connections with people who are very prominent in the community. And it's a good place to really just totally reinvent yourself. You know, there was a time when I was very lazy, where I would basically manipulate people to get my needs met. You know, and that's a sad place to be. And now I'm very not lazy. You know, I work many hours a day and I do everything for somebody else. You know, all my efforts are for my family. You know, it's nice to be loved and depended on and be able to make that complete transition where I'm not a burden on anybody. They love when I come around. Um, I, I get love every day. You know, it's wonderful to go from being that lonely guy to a guy who cherished is a good feeling. And I did it in a very short period of time in the grand scheme of things, 2 years might feel like a long time in the beginning, but it goes by quick, and it will be more than worth it. Um, let's see other examples of putting your best foot forward, like thinking the job I got while I was at Red Barn was at a place called Steels. It was like a big warehouse. Um, it was like a lot like the SEM class where we would kind of put the warehouse together, decide how many shelves to put up, what kind of products would go on where, how we would list them. It was very educational for me, and they were connected to Red Barn, so um, they let us kind of practice this stuff there, where another job probably wouldn't have gone to that degree, where they kind of let us try to implement some of the stuff we learned in class in at work, and it was pretty cool. But the main plant manager there, when I went from that job to another job, his best friend just happened to be in charge of transportation in my new job. So I made such a good impression on him. He calls the guy in transportation and says, "Hey, I got a guy coming over there. When he's eligible to be a driver, do you think you could put a good word in for him and get him on the roster?" "Oh yeah, I can do that for you." And it's all because of Red Barn helping me with this connection, me doing a very, very good job while I was there, making a good impression on this man, me being willing to open up to him and tell him about what my plans are, where I plan on going. Like, I didn't stop and quit one day, and just leave him high and dry. I put in my I gave him like a month's notice. I told him where I was going to go next. I told him why I was going. I explained to him just everything in detail. I made him a part of my life, and he was so impressed by the way I handled that transition that he was willing to. I didn't even ask him to be a reference. He took it upon himself to call this friend to make that reference himself. So it's really important to make a good impression on people in all situations, because it will affect you. It's a very small world. Both of these gentlemen were from Florida, had just moved here. It's a very small world. Everybody's kind of is connected. It's just important to do your best. It really is. Let's see another example. The driver that I met at Sticky Bird that I talked to about the position I'm in now. He's now in the office as well. Works with transportation. So all my long-term goals, all my short-term goals have led up to these moments that will happen later, all because of my willingness to do my best, my willingness to be honest, my willingness to share my story in such a way that empowers, makes them feel like they want to be a part of it. All the things they teach you here really do help. Is what I'm getting at. Let's see. Let's talk about a couple of times recently that I've fallen short. I try to be humble, but sometimes almost my demise. Sometimes I almost kind of put myself down a little bit. But in this situation, I think it's good to know that people still screw up. So let's see. One day at work, they have a lot of events where they give us food and barbecues and just employee recognition kind of things. One day at work, we're all having steaks, and they're really juicy, they're really good, and they have these little grab bags, and I figured they were leftovers, right? Because sometimes they give us all these little treats in these little grab bags. I grab one before they're all gone and put it in my backpack, and then I hear somebody say, "Oh, those are for the drivers." I go, "Oh shit!" Like, they're already in my bag, Can't lose my job over a steak and some chips. What am I doing, And I sit on it for a minute. I get a little drink, and I sit down. Like, no one's gonna notice, No one's gonna notice. But are they gonna notice? You got cameras. Do I really want to be that guy? Am I a thief? Am I gonna risk everything I put all this hard work in for a show up with a steak? Who cares about a steak? So I walk into the main guy's office. "Hey, can I talk to you for a minute?" Sit down. Dude, I effed up. I took a steak. I thought they were leftover steaks. I should have asked first. I'm an idiot. But he laughs at me. Go put it back. Put it back on the table. You're good. Thanks for telling me. I felt like a jackass, but at least I went to my boss, told him the truth, avoided any situation that could have taken place, instead of just tucking my tail and hoping to God no one noticed. It probably wouldn't have been a big deal, but why risk it? And it was a very healthy lesson. Like, man, I should have asked first. Would I have done that at the bar? If I saw something out, would I have just, oh yeah, that's for everybody, right? Oh, it's not even snack time yet. You gotta, like, these kinds of things teach you to think of, be mindful, and not get yourself in a jam in a social situation like that to do something kind of uncouth. If there's not enough for everybody, I should have asked, right? Whether they were legit or not. You gotta, this place will teach you to be mindful and more tactful, and just carry yourself in a social situation better. It really does. So all those pull-ups are worth it in the end. They really are. Another time I fell short, moved into a new house, very nice house, very lucky boy, very, very blessed. We got this new stove. I don't know how to work it. You got to hook your phone up to it. You got all these things, got to have special pots for the top, or that won't eat. My Amazon pots didn't work on the stove. I don't know how to run the thing. So I go to Best Buy to look at one like it, and hopefully the guy there can kind of coach me on how to work it, right? And this kid, he's telling me my stove's broke and I need to buy a new one, and he's not being very helpful, and I'm a little frustrated. I know it's not broke. I just need somebody to kind of explain to me what's wrong with it. So this one has the owner's manual in it, and I roll up the owner's manual and kind of proceed to walk to the door with it, like, kind of mad at this kid. He's trying to sell me a new stove, and I'm heading out the door like a little dirtbag. And my daughter goes, "Are you just gonna take that?" And she goes, "Bad example, Christopher," because we've kind of had talks about example, right? I'm like, oh shit. Pulled up by my daughter at Best Buy with my mother-in-law's here. Everybody's here. Me getting frustrated with the kid doesn't make it okay to take the owner's manual home. So I'm pissed, mostly at myself, but embarrassed. So I walk up to the guy and I'm like, would it be okay if I take the owner's manual or open it up and snap photos of the instructions? And he's like, we sell the floor models after a certain amount of time. I can't have you do that. You got to put it back, And I look like an idiot. I go put the thing back, and my family's just shaking their head like, oh my gosh. So we leave, we go to Home Depot, ask the guy there about stoves, and he's like, we'll send you out a technician to come help you. The consultation's free. If there's something wrong with it, you have to pay for the time, but consultation's free. So they sent somebody to my house, Spanish speaking, everything's, all I do is be patient, ask the right people, and not rush, not get mad at some kid and then look like a jackass in front of my family. Not good. The guy comes to the house, nothing wrong with your stove. You just got to buy better pots and pans. Your Amazon pots and pans don't register as metal on the stove. So it's something simple, I could have done a little research on my phone, but no, I did that. We all fall short, I had a couple other examples I was going to give you guys, so that's all I could think of at the moment. Let's see. I think, honestly, just having a good plan, like Rich says, like make a plan, know where you're going. Have a little faith in yourself that you can get to those places. Don't sell yourself short, and truthfully, the journey is really never over. I'm just getting started. I can only handle so much on a plate at a time, but each time I get a little comfortable in that zone, then I know it's time to kind of see where the next spot is. Life is pretty short. You don't want to just kind of, okay, I've arrived, and camp out, right? So I started out, I worked for Cisco Foods. I got the job with the help of Chef Neil. Made a phone call, another connection again I made through Red Barn that helped kind of facilitate where I was going next. You know, I have some pretty bad theft charges. I know we don't talk about our past, but which has made it a little bit difficult for me to get work. Um, it's still possible, you know, work is out there, but it certainly helps to know somebody. Certainly helps to have somebody with some credibility vouch for you. And the finishing this program opens up a lot of doors. I don't know what your guys' past looks like, but just finishing the program alone will open up a lot of channels for you. You know, it's not too late, and there's no like no barrier you can't cross if your mind's in the right spot and you're very learning to tell your story. You know, my story today to you guys is a little bit rough around the edges because I want you to know I'm one of you, you know. But when I tell my story to a perfect stranger in an interview, I've kind of learned to refine it down and just cut out all the fat, you know, and just give them kind of where I was, where I'm at now, where I plan on going. And it really, regardless of what you've done, what you look like, you can really go places in life if you're clean, you're sober, and you're get your head on straight, you know. Um, let's see, I work at Cisco. I started out in a very rough area. It was the freezer. It was 0 degrees, very long hours. We were timed. It was very difficult, but I knew it wasn't going to be forever. You know, as long as I show up every day and I do my best, eventually another channel will open and I'll apply for that next job. I just toughed it out. You know, but just know that regardless of where you go, there's going to be phases that are difficult, and you got to get through those phases in order to get to the next step. You know, you don't just show up to a company and get I want to drive the forklift, and they're like, all right, get on the forklift. You're the forklift guy now. You know, you gotta you gotta work your way up, man, and that's just reality. And Red Bar will teach you that. You know, there's always going to be somebody um, who kind of there's friction with and you kind of beef with a little bit. But the more you can handle that with tact and couth and not let them get in your under your skin and make you react, the better off you're going to be because there's always going to be that person, you know. And most times it's the person right next to you or in your department or something, right? It's never just some random guy in a different area. It's like you're going to be forced to work with people that you don't always enjoy their company, and you got to learn to be professional and get the job done, irregardless, you know. And you get to a point where, there's a guy I work with now. We've grown to love each other, but at first not so much, you know. He's kind of a know-it-all, um, kind of braggadocious. Tries to be my boss a lot of the time, and at first it got on my nerves. You know, we yell at each other a couple times, which could have been detrimental to both of us. You know, that's not how you act at work. You don't react to somebody's someone's trying to push your buttons and you react, then they won, right? You try to maintain composure, take the high road, you know. So I've grown to get along with this man very well now, but it took some time. You have to learn to see the good in people. You have to learn to overlook their faults and realize that they have something to offer as well. That they're whether you like it or not, how you feel about it isn't going to change that. The only thing you can do is make the best of the situation and know that it's not permanent. You know, you don't have to. There was days where we get really mad at one another. You know, really mad, and we'd still find the maturity to sit down, have lunch together, brush it off, talk about the game or whatever's on TV, break bread a little bit. You want a cookie? Sure, thanks. You know, if you want to pop? Yeah, I got you, dude. And just find a way to rise above that moment, not hold a grudge, not plot against it, which is what I would normally do. Like, oh God, I'm going to get that dude. Just think of all these, you know, just not be that guy. Just rise above it. Just a bad situation, misunderstanding. I still got to work with him tomorrow. I got to find a way to make that happen, you know, and eventually become friends. eventually, you know, he's going to say something stupid and you just laugh, you know, you don't take it so serious. You don't take it so personal, you know, it's just him being him. You know what I mean? Takes time. I forgot where I was going here. Uh, Having a plan. I think what I've gained most uh, is just being proactive, learning to transition from one job to a next, one apartment to a house. Obviously, in this situation, I had a lot of help from Red Bar with the move. That took a lot of stress off. But making a transition from one thing to another and not letting your life fall apart in the past was a big deal for me. If I was to change one job to the next, uh, you know, it'd be it'd be a month. You know, if I was to lose a job, it would take me. I'd be filing for unemployment before I would have found another job. You know, but to be able to put in your 2 weeks, already have been looking for a new job, transition to that new job without any gaps in pay, make all your bills, leave these people happy, show up to this new job with them knowing you're coming, everything. Making those transitions requires a lot of communication. It's a lot of like passing your information or making a request, you know, those kinds of things are crucial to getting by because if you're 2 paychecks behind, you're struggling, you know, your whole life is different than it was a month ago. You know what I mean? So just learning how to be very proactive and communicate with your bosses, with your family, with whoever you got to communicate with to make sure that things don't get too stressful or complicated. That's huge. And before I came to the barn, I wouldn't even talk to people about really anything, you know. It was my business kind of deal. And it's really beneficial to know that you can trust people and know that the more they know about what your plans are, what your situation is, the more they can be helpful, you know. When you surround yourself with positive people and not a bunch of addicts, it's okay to talk about what your plans are, you know. No one's out to get you, you know what I mean? It's okay to go to your leaders and say, hey, I'm struggling with this shit. They're not going to think you're a wuss or nothing, you know. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what a healthy person does, you know. Um, it's a pretty big transition, go from where we came from to where we want to go, you know. But the more honest you are with yourself, the more willing you are to put yourself out there, even if there's going to be some repercussions. You know, you might get a few hours, but the faster you deal with some of those issues, the better off you'll be. You know. Um, let's see. Let's go back to talking about a plan, right? So I met the driver at Sticky Bird, and I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, should I stay at Sticky Bird the rest of my life? Should I branch out and do something else? You know, I want to be in the restaurant world. What do I want to do with my life? And I met this driver and talked to him, and I'm like, I think I could do that. You know, drive a truck, make these deliveries. I'm good at keeping track stuff. Like I like inventory type jobs. You know, so my first thought is I'll just go work at that same place that guy did and see how it goes. You know, I don't know much about it, but I know it's a big company. I know it's stable. So if some emergency happens again, like COVID or something, I know I still have a job. If the economy takes a little dip, I know that they're going to still need work there. You know, I try to make very, very educated choice about where I go. Like, even if it doesn't pay the most, I know seasonally it's not going to be slow in the winter. You know, it's going to be steady. Like, I tried to pick a place that at my age makes sense, like retirement, 401k, you know, benefits. Instead of just going for that quick dollar, like where am I going to make the most money? I try to think of long term. Let's make long term decisions. You know, I'm not getting any younger, so um, that was my plan. And it was at that time, it was just a thought. You know, like okay, that sounds like it might be a good place to work. I don't even know where it is, you know, but those kinds of thoughts you have throughout the day, like wherever you visualize yourself being, is more than likely where you're going to go. So be selective about, you know, where you let your mind wander. and how you picture yourself. You're picturing yourself in a parking lot with some nice whip at night, you know. It's like you're picturing this rap video in your head. That's probably where you're going, man. So really try to be mindful of what you visualize, because this is what your life's going to end up being like. And you got to be careful about what you wish for, you know, because it might not be exactly what you expect, you know. There's always going to be more to it than you think. Uh, what I'm getting at is what I pictured as I went through my program, what I kind of my little dream board in my mind, what I pictured has come true, you know. I remember thinking, I see that Rich drove a Forerunner, and I thought, man, that's awesome. The guy with this much money drives a very basic car. He knows it's reliable, you know, it gets the job done. If it's good enough for him, that's exactly what I want, you know. He must know something I don't, because he can have any car he wants, right? So in my mind, I think, okay, one day I'll just get a car like his, you know. And I already have a car like his. Like if you visualize it and you work hard, and you know there's going to be steps to get to that point. It wasn't my first car, right? Had to get a beater and then trade the beater in for another one. There's going to be steps, but whatever you visualize in your mind is what you can have. It's not that far away. You know, I didn't think I'd be in a house this soon. That was I had a very motivating person in my life that decided we needed a house now, since we only have about 30 more years of hard work in it, you know. So we got a house, and at first I kind of felt like maybe we're rushing into this and things like that, but now I feel quite comfortable with it. We made a very good choice. I'm very happy, and it's exactly what I pictured it to be before I ever had it happen. It's exactly what I visualized in my mind, you know. Just exactly what I pictured. So just know that all your dreams can come true, but it's going to take a lot of hard work, and you still got to get up at the crack of dawn, and you still got to wash the toilet, and you still have someone to answer to, you know. My days are filled with love and good food, but I certainly, if I took 3 days off, I wouldn't be in that good zone, you know. I got to keep on it. I got to keep in the good graces of my loved ones, you know, and really press hard to make sure that I'm moving forward. And it just takes time, you know. So don't sell yourself short. Um, my my life could change from being that homeless guy begging for change, IV user, just a just a waste, you know, just wasting my life away behind a building somewhere. You know what I mean? So where it is now, in 3.5 years' time, anything is possible. I mean, I graduated a year and a half ago. I've already got the car I pictured, the house I pictured, a family. You know, it happens quick. So just know that it's possible, and know that if I can do it, any of you guys can do it. Just keep pressing on. And I think I'll end with that. Yeah. Questions?
Yeah, Christopher, I want to say thank you. That was very inspiring. And I'm proud of you, man. Thanks, Doug. From where you come from, when you first got here, you're not the same, man. And it's very inspiring to know that it's possible. So thank you. Thanks, Doug.
Sorry. First of all, I'd like to say, man, that was awesome. Very mountains and realistic for what we're doing with our programs and motivating for me. And I was honored to help you move into your new home. That was a cool experience.
Thank you for that.
So I have a couple questions in that regard. One, have you barbecued out on your back deck yet? Hoping you'd say yeah, and I was just gonna ask if it was because you couldn't get yourself to work. Thank you, Christopher.
Yeah.
For helping. That took a load of stress off. Yeah, life is stressful, and everything like that, those transitions, you guys really saved me. That would have been probably an argument and a 3-day silent treatment in the midst of what should have been a beautiful moment, you know. you guys made it possible for that to be a fun experience for us. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So first of all, I want to say thank you. And second is, I think it was you I seen on the Red Barn flyer when I was, before I even came here.
Oh, yeah?
And so before I even came here, in a way, I looked up to you, you know?
Love us.
And we share the same name. I just want to ask, what was your number one why, your reason to keep pushing?
To keep pushing, it was, I was just proud of myself to have gotten through that mess and came out clean on the other side, you know? The battle between good and evil is real, you know? And I was just super proud of myself to have the strength to get through that disaster and get to a place where I could get back home, you know, get back home to my Heavenly Father, to my family, and be somebody that I should have been all along, you know. That was my why.
Addiction can be on a spectrum, and you can go into too deep about how gripping that was for you before Red Barn. Now that you're through the entire process and you're back into your normal life, what do you do as far as your recovery goes? Do you have days that you white knuckle it, or do you just, is it just something that's part of your past?
I literally, it is part of my past. You know, I'll war story a little bit and I catch myself and go, why am I talking to this person about this? You know, this isn't what I want to portray. You know, why am I sharing these details? You know, it's really important to leave that person behind, you know, because all those kind of like neural pathways, right? Those ways of thinking, to talk about the old life really triggers that stuff. It brings back those same feelings of feeling less than, or feeling like a criminal, or feeling like, you know, it's good to just leave that all behind. I still drink a lot of coffee, eat a lot of cookies, but that's it. You can't open the door, you know, no vaping, no nothing, you know. You gotta leave that behind you completely. There's no room for tobacco. There's no room for anything. You gotta just stop and say, I'm done. That's fucking it. I'm done.
Yes,
Just want to say I'm proud of you, brother, for real.
thank you.
Proud of you, man. And also, the time you took me to the doctor, we stopped at McDonald's, you bought McDonald's. How many hours did you get for that?
I think they only gave me like 10 or something. Yeah. Yeah. It may have been more. I was at the end of my program. It may have been more, but yeah. At some point you realize you're just gonna end up working all day no matter what anyway. Whether it's on your own little project, it might be your own little project. You might be tinkering on your car in the garage or playing some video game. It's all work, man. Y'all just gotta stay focused and try to make it enjoyable, you know? It doesn't have to be a grind all the time. Yes.
Well, the day I seen you skateboarding, you said you used it as an outlet. Do you still skateboard to this day?
Don't, you know, it's in the garage. I should probably try again. Yeah. Yeah. What free time I do have now, I got a dog, my first dog. The dog takes up a lot of time and energy. But fun. It's fun to have somebody that just adores you, you know, excited to see you and things like that. Maybe I'll stand on the skateboard and let the dog pull me around or something. Huh? I could combine the two. Yeah. As far as outlets go like that, I need to find some time for those kinds of things. But lately I've been so busy. I've got real ambitious real quick, you know, so I'm just trying to let the dust settle and kind of figure out where everything sits and how much time I got. I still have a lot to do before I can do hobbies, but right now my dog takes up that little bit of free time I have every day.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Let's give
Hey, Mr.
Christopher a
Question
round of
up here.
applause, please. So, yeah, I remember about that move. The last thing we moved was the dog, and he took him out of the pen. I took the pen, and he's an escape artist. So he got out of the collar and ran down the street about 10 blocks, didn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, we got him to the other house and everything's fine now, but I appreciate that very much, Christopher. And it was a pleasure moving you and your family, and I'm glad we could make it easier on you.
Thank
That's
you.
what we learn to do for brothers around here, whatever we can to help. And, even though, you're a graduate, so you're always welcome, and we love you, man. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.